Yo, hello everyone, and good Friday to you. It's an amazing start to this year. I'm excited. This is my first live of the year. Didn't even realize that till a short time ago, and have a awesome guest today. Marc Halpert is a dynamite LinkedIn coach. He definitely spends a lot of time on the platform and understands it, well, which is funny because that's where I have made all of my money as an adult. And so a lot of people poo-poo LinkedIn because they don't understand it. But, we're just in the game of life, a game of chess here in life is the way I see it. And it's just another game to add to the fun and the difference of how you get to your end result. And so I'm really excited to hear from Marc because we're very different individuals. We look at LinkedIn differently. We coach and consult differently. Which is even better for today because we're talking about what makes you an octopus, talking about the octopusmovement.org. And what we are doing there is just including everybody that is neurodiverse or not, everyone that would like to think differently or broadly or broaden your horizons or learn from other people or engage with others that have differences that will inspire you to learn and grow. And so Marc is a fellow octopus, and I am so grateful that he's joining me today. Marc, how are you?
Thank you for coming. Great. Thank you for having me, Darren. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, give us a quick 1-2. How are you today? Where are you? And what's going on in your world?
Well, how am I? I love being on podcasts because we cover new ground in every podcast. There's a little bit of me that rubs off on a little bit of a podcast, and they're never two the same. So that's the good part. I am in Fairfield, Connecticut. I am about 1 hour and change train ride out of New York City. I am the Octopus ambassador for the New York City metro area, which gets me nothing but a $1 cup of coffee at any place in New York City. So whatever. No one says, wow, you're an ambassador, because, that's what we do. Perry asked me to. Perry, hello, if you're listening. Perry and I met a long, long time ago. That's let's define that about 2 years ago in pandemic terms. And we met through Maxine Cunningham. And she said, you got to talk to this guy named Perry. And everybody was saying all these great things about Perry. And I said, all right, let's see what's there. And the rest has been wonderful.
And you could say definitely Perry runs the show and leads a lot of people to the well, but it's just a band of misfits. So once you get beyond Perry, what's it been like for you? Because Perry's a huge portion.
Let's hang on now. Let's not call ourselves misfits. Let's call ourselves a merry band of thieves or something like that. But nonetheless, there is every type of person in this group, and there's still more to be discovered, I think, as we go through adding more and more people. I was on the phone this morning with a guy, and I was talking to him because he was referred to me for LinkedIn Business. And as I was listening to him, I said, oh, he's neurodiverse. I mean, he is all over the place, and he's trying to pull really heavy details and philosophies together and what he does and he teaches, and he's frustrated in teaching and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm saying, oh yeah, there's an octopus in there somewhere. So I think there's home for everybody here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, being an octopus just means maybe you feel a little different than what the 80% or what people think is actually 80% and probably more like 50. There's like, to me, there's that big group in limbo that's like, why am I here in this big group? And so, you know, um, yeah, an octopus to me is just someone that has a big heart, or maybe has a closed heart but wants an open heart. Even like, you don't even have to be anything. You have to be willing to not hurt the people around you in the community, and not be a narcissist, and not damage people's um, you know own feelings. Like, and so we're just in it. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of business people, a lot of entrepreneurs. And what that means is, like, the eight legs of an octopus is that there are all of these, just a bouquet of individuals, which is Marc Halpert, and Barbara, like all around the world. You can just pluck, and everyone is just this unique poppy, this really pretty flower, and it's all different.
All those
And
tentacles are going look at the picture behind me. They're all going in 100 directions at once. It doesn't seem like there's any order or any
mhm.
reason to it, but somehow there is. Somehow it all works out. And the silver lining for me of the pandemic has been that I have expanded my universe of people who I can call true long-term friends to almost every continent, almost every country at this point, where there are professional people who want to excel. They want to go beyond where they are or have been stymied all their life and don't know how to get out from under themselves.
Hmm.
And that is hugely frustrating to a lot of people. It is debilitating to many people's careers. People are excited to get out of their shell, but they don't know, and they need somebody to lead them out. So another tentacle of my very being is I can draw people out of that shell. And that has
Nice.
been a wonderful, very self-actualizing experience for me.
That's amazing, man. I love that. Why did you come and bring your energy? I mean, if you have an audience and you have a community already going, on LinkedIn, very established, 20 times what most people would ever imagine to put together. You have that established. Why put your energy, and why fall into this group?
I am what's called high octane. I
Hmm.
cannot stop chugging. I will never will stop chugging. And I absolutely love meeting more amazinger people as I go along. That word's mine. I made that word up. I use it all the time. I've got
What
people
was it?
who love it. Amazinger.
Amazinger.
Everybody is amazing. But how you are amazinger than your competition, whether you're in business or you're looking for a job, how you express yourself and make yourself look a little bit larger than life, and how you give 125% of yourself instead of only 100% of yourself is what's the amazinger aspects of what we do. And these people that I have met through Pick My Brain, the Octopus movement, all the other things that I participate in have been so satisfying, sorry, that's the wrong word,
Yeah.
satisfying to me, satiating,
Hmm.
because they give me back as much as I give them, and they recognize it.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I think I feel that same sensation, but also I get this push to expand my perspective. I think that's what I love is, had led a very rigid life up until 2020. I had lots of health issues, and the further I step away from the rigidity of life, or um, just the stigmas or whatever the doctors tell me, if I let all that go and I start listening to how other people look at life, I can see, like, there's another way to look at things.
Yeah,
And then when I get there, there's someone else that goes, no, there's actually another way. And so it's not like I just get stretched. It's like I feel like I'm able to now go around corners, able to see and feel better. Not feel personally, but feel the environment better,
you've shed
experience humans.
you've shed the scatalism. There's the word for today that Perry made up. You've let the scatalism go. And I looked it up online, and it's not there. I mean, this really the definition, the way he defined it. So scatalism, for those of you who are not initiated, the extreme linear thinking, an inclination towards rigid and inflexible thinking characterized by a narrow focus on a single perspective or goal. So my career, I went to college, I went to graduate school right after. Okay, very linear. I went to go work in a bank. Can't get more linear than a bank. It's a really linear place. All right. There are a lot of crazy characters there. A lot of them like out of a cartoon, which is hilarious, but all focused on lend money, make money, make money. And then I left banking because I hated it. And I went to be a corporate treasury guy, corporate finance guy. Very linear. And I started working all over the world. And then I worked in Latin America, where you cannot be very linear in finance because it's constantly changing minute by minute. And that gave me more opportunity to be creative and to come up with ideas with my colleagues to find ways to do what we were trying to accomplish. And then I left the corporate world, thank God. And 22 years ago, I set up not one business, not two businesses, but three businesses in the past 22 years. Now, there's three tentacles just going all the time in what I do, morning, noon, and night, 24/7, 366, 365, whatever. It is why I couldn't survive in a regimented environment where I came from. I had to go out on my own. And I've never been so motivated, energized, because I have to make everything myself. I cannot rely upon anybody. I can surround myself with all sorts of beautiful people who support me no end and are just beautiful and wonderful to me. And many of them are probably going to listen to this, and that's great because they support me. And that's all I need. The rest gives me the push every day. So I'm an octopus because we all need to coexist in our ecosystem, whatever that is, however you define it. I hate that word, but it's really appropriate right now to talk about how we cross with each other and self and collaborate.
Definitely. Were you finding collaboration earlier in your life, or was there a turning point that, the light bulb went off and you found this new mentality at business? Connection and collaboration?
I've always been able to cross company political divides and always had colleagues and respected friends in various places that would get me to be able to do what I needed to do faster than a lot of other people. All right. I can see opportunity where other people can't. And I have many, many stories about how I did that. And some of them are, at this point, if I told you this, that's archaic, that's ridiculous. No one does that anymore. Well, at the time, it was radical, it was crazy. Here's an example. When I worked in the bank, we opened a branch in Beijing. Now, very few American banks were in China at that point. We're going back to 1980, right? A long, long time ago. And we needed to get some work done really fast for a certain product that we had in the bank. And we were finding it was getting stuck in the Bank of China, which had to approve everything. And so my colleague in China called me up one day, or telexed me. I don't remember how we used to communicate back then. And he said, how can we move this along? I said, I don't know. Do they drink instant coffee? And he said, oh God, they love instant coffee. I said, well, the cafeteria has packets of instant coffee just sitting there. Why don't I just stuff my pockets one day and send it to you in the interbank pouch? So it went out the next morning on the ship, on the plane, and you just start dropping a couple of packets of instant coffee at the Bank of China. And he said, it's brilliant. Let's do that. I don't know if it would work. We were the only bank able to get stuff done so fast. We had a reputation for that just because two knuckleheads decided they were going to drop instant coffee on desks. So and that was 1980. I was like 27 at that time. I mean, I don't know, I was 25. Yeah. And ever since then, I've always drawn on these various examples of ways that I've been able to do things, find ways to appeal to people, find common ground to work in, find
Mm.
common hobbies and interests that we can connect on, even if we were natural enemies or natural adversaries in the business world. They were there to make money on me. I was there to get something from them cheaper. That's a natural instinct where we all wouldn't like each other. I found
Mhm.
ways to overcome that. And so I always was able to do that. And I never looked at an opportunity as a problem. I looked at it as something we can overcome. And so when I got out on my own, I decided I got to do this myself. I got to be even more creative. I don't have anybody to send coffee to. I got to be the guy carrying the coffee, leaving the coffee, proverbially. And I found all sorts of ways to get stuff done and have decided that I can help other people get stuff done too. And a lot of them need to get stuff done out of their head. They need to get
Yeah.
it out of their heads.
And a lot of people just really need to know that they're seen. Like, you see me. I'm not just a cog in your wheel of finance. And I think that's also what you are doing by saying, you're addressing their humanity and saying, I know you're going to need this later today, because
Yeah.
we all do, and this is for you, and I'm here for you. And that moment in time, it doesn't hit everybody, but the people that need it the most are the ones that notice you the most. It reminds me of when I had my second or my first construction company, and when we grew the business all word of mouth, no advertising, and this was early 2000. And what we were doing was, I would, myself or any of my superintendents would walk. We called it the 8x8, like a piece of wood. We'd go 8 houses in every direction and hand out our business card. And we'd say, hey, we're going to be here for a year. And we make a mess and we're noisy and we know we're going to be a terrible neighbor. So here's the number ahead of time. Call this guy when there's a problem. We in case you're angry, call him ahead of time. And like, what it did was, no one was ever angry. I never had problems with neighbors calling in. And you hear stories about people just upset at their neighbor doing construction and calling in phony complaints just to, well, we have that in Seattle anyways a lot. New York City has that a lot. And just addressing the fact that I know that you're here and I need to do something over here. Like, that's all we were saying to them. And I had, for 2 years, we were on this small area called Mercer Island,
Sure.
where I couldn't get my employees off there. I had 18 guys and we had job after job. And it was like, I really need to get down the road, and it was all because of the realness that we were approaching, which I think is what you were bringing to the bank. Because in finance, a lot of times people are not showing you their cards, or I've worked in finance too, where you're never really knowing if the client is maybe not telling you the truth or the whole story, because a lot of people are afraid that the bank won't give them the money if they're honest about some things. Not everybody, but that's just part of it you're dealing with. And so the faster you get to the real conversation and the humanness, the less you have to worry about, is he lying? Is he this? Is he that?
Yeah, I've grown my business based upon my own personal reputation. People stay with me, and I have clients now for 18 years who've stayed with me because I've gone the extra yard for them, and I've advised them, I think we ought to think about this proactively. Let me become, as I like to say, a part of your team. Yeah, I mean, I'm the guy making money on them. That's just the natural way of things. But they trust me. They give me IDs and passwords to get into their systems, to see
Mhm.
things that they don't see because they don't want to take the time and they don't appreciate it for the larger picture. I'm working with a client right now in New York City, and at year end, they just weren't ready to close the books properly. And I said to them, look, this was like October, November. Look, this is something we need to think about now. Let's not wait till it happens and say, oh, we should have thought about that days ago, because I don't look good and you're not going to look good. You're not going to like me either. Let's think proactively. And like, wow, where have you always been, is what they said to me. I said, I've always been here. Just got new people in the organization that now are learning as they go. So my job, and this gray hair or lack thereof, is not from my children, as I like to say sometimes. It's from earning it because I worry about this stuff. They say they can call me weekends. They can call me holidays. I've been taken out of a Broadway show where I was sitting there enjoying it because something happened that had to be addressed right then for security purposes. And they really appreciate that. And they stick with me because I'm able to see an opportunity where other people can't, or see a way to fix a broken pipe before it floods the basement. So, and so for me, it's most fun. But the best fun I get is when people have the aha moments, when they say, how did you understand me? Because I said something the other day, and then I said something today, and you pulled all these things together, Mark. How did you do that? I don't know. I'm not a trained coach. I am a seat of the pants natural coach. I love coaching people on to their next best hurrah. And I love when they come back to me and they say, you told me something about 5 years ago, and I remembered that. And damn, if I didn't get a piece of business as a result of that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Best stuff I can hear.
I love that. Do you find yourself having to be more consistent or be more changing as the world is progressing in technology, and it's harder to hand a coffee packet to somebody, right? It's and now we're doing things more. I guess we've just had to get more creative. What's that mean to you?
There's this specter, this gray cloud called artificial intelligence hanging over my head right now. Okay. As a LinkedIn coach, I want people to write their heart out. And when they go to AI and they get AI to write for them, it's not writing their heart out. It's a hack. I have never been in favor of hacks. I like the best way that works now with an eye towards incorporating today's and future technologies. All right. I couldn't be a LinkedIn coach if I didn't admire the technology LinkedIn brings to the table. But I do want people to be able to express themselves in their own personal way, not to find a cheap, easy, sleazy way out. So
Why is that? Why is it sleazy?
It's cheap. It's too
What is
easy.
cheap?
If you get if I did this with somebody, we did a test on Chat GPT. Write a LinkedIn profile about section for me. And it was just like same old, no differentiation, not interesting. You know what's going to happen? The more you read same old, the more we lessen our threshold, our hurdle, and it gets easier, it gets cheaper to stand out. I want my clients to stand out above and beyond, there's that word amazinger again, than their best competitor. And when I tell them that AI isn't going to help them, and they tell me, oh, but it really rewrote well what I wrote. I said, well, what did you do with it? He said, I rewrote on top of AI. Then you're okay. Then what you've done is you've added your own personal voice to a computer's generated material. So I am fighting this dichotomy of one eye in the real modern world of future oriented technology and one eye in the old fashioned world of can you write about yourself? And sometimes it takes handwriting it on a piece of paper to make it come out for people. And I ask my clients to do that. And often they say, oh, that's so awful. I couldn't possibly do it. I say, try it one time just for me. See where it goes. And I get them squealing in delight. I can't believe it. I started writing and the ink started flowing. I kept going and going and going. And yeah, I balled up the paper a few times. And yeah, I started over again. You can somehow do better an old-fashioned way than a newer way if you put yourself back to what you really wished you could say from the very beginning.
So if I'm a carpenter by trade, and I do woodworking, and so I started with the worst tools, and then now I have wonderful tools. But in the middle, there aren't great tools. You sometimes have dollar bins or Goodwill tools or rusty old shit dad left me, and that's still great, but they're all tools to me. And if you look at my earlier work, which was more hand tools and the old way, there are carpenters that taught me that would go, yeah, that is the way you do it. But now you should see what I can do with a CNC router with pieces that I can make wood anything and have in ultra fancy houses, and if I didn't use technology to get me there, to hand carve all the things, the people wouldn't pay me to carve it. Like to carve a rounded dome room of crown molding that 18 inches tall, right? Huge wooden carving would take one guy probably 6-8 months, maybe a year.
Sure.
And they wouldn't pay me 100K for that,
Yep.
which is what it would cost. And so I'm not disagreeing with your view of AI, because I think, are there things that are always coming at us that are new and scary? And I think that's what people thought of cars, and that were in the horse business,
Or the internet.
or the internet.
Right.
So for me, I play LinkedIn like I play. Let me think of the best game I could give you. Not chess, but Connect Four. Have you played Connect Four?
I don't know Connect Four.
So Connect Four is vertical circles, and you're playing like tic-tac-toe vertically,
Okay.
and you're trying to line up 5 circles in a row.
Okay.
And there's ways to block people, and there's ways to get the game cooking, and there's ways to play it and have a harder time and challenge myself, if I'm playing a younger person. And I've done LinkedIn for so long, and I started out doing exactly what you're talking about. That's how all my business was. And I walked in the door to the architects after I introduced myself and did all the things. But nowadays, I get the same or better results from doing less of that and more of what I desire to do, which is have fun on the platform I'm on and I'm off. Because
okay, your point is
if I stay on LinkedIn too long, for me, not you, Mark, but because every business person is different, I lose my ability to get back to the creative stuff, which is right behind me. The
right.
turntables, the guitars, the video stuff, all of those things. So I'm now, but also in the music, I agree with you. I go backwards and then I go forwards, and I hate technology and I love it. But I can tell you that I've used AI that no one has known as AI. But I also use my own music and art and video and writings. And the reason I use AI, Mark, is because, like you saw when I started this, there were typos, there were issues. I have trouble reading, I have brain damage. I'm smart as hell though, man. I can learn everything, but I that's my one difficulty in life. What does AI do? Fixes that. So I can move on, and then I can do art elsewhere,
Great. And you've
That's
raised
me.
a really important point, and that is you got to use the right tool for the right purpose. You have to use the right tool, whether it's new or old-fashioned, for the right purpose and the right situation. I take your point about not wanting to hand carve something. I take your point about making music, going back to your roots of music, but improving upon it. All of that. What I try to do with my clients is I try to get them out of the stuck mode because they think they have to use the shiniest penny that's available at the moment and just keep regurgitating the same LinkedIn poll or the same LinkedIn carousel, and it's over and over and over again. That doesn't differentiate you. Use the right method of speaking to your audience to make them want to follow you, to make them want to read you, to make them want to argue with you, and that's fine. Professional argument is okay, so long as it's respectful. And to make them want to, drum roll, refer you, because you have mastered the way to use LinkedIn, just one tool in your marketing toolbox, one power tool. You cannot use a power tool incorrectly. You will get hurt. All right? You can't drive a hammer with a chainsaw. It ain't going to happen. You'll hurt yourself. So I always say, you've got this box called LinkedIn. Use the best tools within the box for the right purpose. But if you can't tell what makes you different, better, amazinger, if you can't tell why you do what you do, if you can't tell where you came from makes you who you are today, and who you are today gives an inclination to where you want to go in your future, where your prospects want to follow you in your respective futures, then you are lost. And that's where I come in. I sort of crawl in your left ear, look around in your head, and crawl out your right ear and get it done. And it's been hugely powerful for some of my clients. Some of them just don't get it. I have to use every single trick I've got. I've got to use Ikigai, which is a Japanese set of concentric Venn diagram circles that gets you to the heart of why you do what you do. I've got to use the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I've got to use another book called The Startup of You by Reid Hoffman, who just happens to be the LinkedIn creator and former chair. And not because he is, but because it's a fabulous book. I get people to try new things, whether and how they read it. If they read it electronically, read it in paper, that technology doesn't matter to me. It's the value that's in that box that makes it worthwhile. So I went to school when there was no internet. I went to school basically when there was no email. I went to school and I learned how to program on computers with cards. That was the era I came out of. So I've seen huge change. I've embraced change, but some parts of the change scare me because I think, and I wrote somebody about this today, I think people will find a way to monetize the fast, easy, cheap way, and everybody will jump on the bandwagon. And when everybody does and says the same thing because they're using the same tool, it all sounds the same and no one is differentiating. That's the point.
Here's why that doesn't scare me, Mark, because I love it when the masses do the same thing. Because as soon as everybody goes, oh, we run over here, I've already been doing this before they've got there and playing with the AI. So when everybody goes over there, I'll be done. I'll move on to something else. I've got a bag of tools that I am building to take with me out of the AI. And what is that? It's just stuff to give me more inspiration to create more of what I'm already creating. Now, I generally will not write a post or write something that's not authentically me. The AI has been more to help me when I'm in brain fog and I have I'm also manic bipolar. So if I'm in a down position, I can't freely think about who's Mark and like what makes this guy amazing if I'm about to interview someone and then make a write up about him because I'm a little slow at the wheel. And so what I can do is I can read something that you've written and I can select and put a hodgepodge of stuff on one piece of paper and then say, give me 4 sentences out of these things that I found inspiring. So it has a touch of you, has a touch of me. Is it true? Is it authentic? I don't know. I needed it in the moment. And so I guess we'll see what that does later on. I'm very much not fixated on that platform and its growth and where it's going. I feel like it's Bitcoin. I feel like it's just whatever, it's the next thing. I'm never into the next thing. I always dabble and get out and then I see if it works for me,
You are the vast minority of people that I get to be happy to hear say that.
I get that I'm the minority because I'm also always screwing around.
Yeah.
And what that does is gives me a superpower to dance around everything. And it means I never have to be like everyone else. And I can win here and here and here and here. And I never have to be the biggest winner. I don't have to be the king of the hill. There's plenty of space for all of us to work this out without competing even.
And for the rest of us mere mortals who don't appreciate the way you appreciate those things, it is my great satisfaction to collect those people like you and others I can think of. Some are in the Octopus movement, some are in Pick My Brain, some are all along the way. I've collected them like baseball cards, and they're in my box of baseball cards, and I keep reshuffling them and shuffling them until they come to the front. because I can rely upon them. And it's not like I connect to everybody that comes across my screen. I only connect to people who are worthy, privilege of connecting with me and me with them, two-way street. So I don't have 18,000 connections. I have 34, 3,500 people. Every which one of them I have met, vetted, gotten to know, spoken with, traded information with, sent messages to, and expect a response equally to what I'm giving. I always like to say, I'll give you 51%, you give me back 49, and I'm a happy guy.
This is blowing my mind, Mark, because you really are the exact we are yin yanging LinkedIn, you and I, 100%. Here's another thing that I've heard about you that I didn't know was true that I wanted to ask. Is it really your guidance or understanding that if I'm on LinkedIn or a platform and I like what you wrote, it's not appropriate for me to use any emoticon or emoji without the extra effort to actually say something about that or why, or is that true?
That is absolutely true, but I want to amend that.
Explain it in your
Leave
words,
the
please.
emoji out. The emoji tells me nothing. Thumbs up doesn't tell me whether you're looking for a ride on the side of the road or you agree with me. It's simple. I can teach monkeys how to hit that button and put a thumbs up on anything. You'll never know what the monkey's thinking. I want to know in human language, why did you like something I said? What makes what I said valuable? So not only are you giving me back something from your experience, but I'm gaining experience from you knowing what makes something important to you. So don't even bother with those stupid emojis. And no one wins with emojis. Take the time to write a short note. And some people say, I don't have time for that stuff. Well, you know what? Then don't do emojis at all, because you're not telling us anything.
I gotta stop you, man. I love you, Mark, but this is I get the triple effort from emojis that I do then commenting. And here is why. I'm not doing it because I'm playing LinkedIn like Connect 4. Okay. So I go on there specifically for certain reasons, for certain areas. I'm marketing for other people, and I will go in a direction so that I can make my feed change. I can make my new contacts come in change. And if I have too many people that are all in my feed saying the same thing, all I need to do is go in the search bar and type in something random like zoologist. I don't have any zoologists. And then I go through all of their feeds and thumbs up as many things as I can. This isn't authentic, by the way, people that are listening. This is the game side. I play the game of LinkedIn and get out. I'm a game player, not a farmer. I don't sit on LinkedIn I get all real relationships from there. I don't pretend I'm somebody else or any of that. But if I'm thumbs upping or something and driving something, it's different. I'm actually looking at the analytics and the back end, and I'm not actually looking at so much always the feed, because I don't have the mental space personally to spend time on social media within feeds. And I don't. If I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on probably 10 minutes a day, as far as reading the feed. And the reason for me why that is right now I'm not growing a business.
Right.
I'm not growing my network. But what it does to me, if I spend too much time there, I will learn, I will grow, I will get things from others, I will enjoy the community, but I won't go and do the work. That's sitting right here. It's too easy for me to keep going. And it's more of a challenge for me to go, no, turn it off and record the baseline that's in your head.
All right.
Why
So here
is that?
I'll ask you just one thing after all that you've said. Now that we are connected on LinkedIn, anytime you see me something that's worthy of a comment, save me the emoji, because I'll never know what you were thinking when you gave me the emoji. I don't need to have a lot of people congratulate me on whatever it is. Congratulations, you're going to be on a podcast. Well, terrific. All right. I get that all the time. Thumbs up, you'll do a great job. Okay, great. I know that. All right. I've done enough of these. Tell me why you like it. Tell me in a couple of words. I'm not asking for a big commitment of time. If you don't have it in you, don't do it. If you're using LinkedIn for another purpose and it's working for you, God bless you, wonderful. But think of how much better it could be, because every time you opine on my opinion, everybody you're connected to, everybody I'm connected to sees your opinion. And somebody may just see you enough to say, this guy, Darren's got it going on. I want to know more about him. They look at your profile, they contact you, or they want to connect with you. You vet them and you decide whether you want to connect with them. That's how I've grown my business. I've been teaching this almost 13 years. I have gone to parts of this world, parts of the mental capacity of humankind. Zoologists, I got zoologists. I got epidemiologists. I've got doctors. I've got tribes people in South Africa I'm connected to who are learning how to use internet and learning how to use LinkedIn. I got everything from A to Z, like I like to say. That helps me communicate with the people who follow me because they refer me.
You know what I like about this approach, Mark? To me now, as I see your approach and my approach, I see some rigidity in yours, and maybe I need some rigidity in mine. But to me, yours is fishing, and the rigidity maybe keeps the boat safe, it keeps everybody there, and it gets us home with a lot of fish. And we all set out to fish, and we came home with fish. And I'm a sniper. I use tactics. I lay low. No one knows where I am. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the CEO's pocket while he's on the can, because that's to me LinkedIn. It's me breaking through. And then once I'm in his pocket, now I want a real relationship. It's not phony. It's not that isn't the coffee packet even. If I'm doing that, I need to know this person out of inspiration or something. Like right now, I'm working on connecting with Paul Stamets, if anybody knows who he is. The unfortunate thing is he's just become famous worldwide, big time, with his documentaries about mycology. But he lives right near me, and his wife is in a tribe right near my tribe on Vancouver Island. And I go, I'll have to meet this guy. It'll take me probably another year because he's at the level he's at, And so that's my sort of sniper approach. I don't need 100 people in my network. I'm actually looking for 10 very specific people I've never met or don't know yet. And so that's me. I'm fishing, I'm looking. And then all of a sudden one pops up in your feed or in your network, or maybe they're new to LinkedIn. And then I go, wow, I got to meet this person.
We're doing two things at once here.
Yeah.
We're professionally disagreeing, which is fine.
Totally.
We should professionally disagree more, in my opinion, on LinkedIn in the comments.
It's both working for both of us.
Yeah. And we learn from each side. And I've made comments before. Someone's come back and challenged me, and I've seen the error in my ways because we're all victims of our own experience. And I don't have every experience in the world. And the other thing we're doing is we're showing the various sides of being an octopus.
Yeah.
We're showing just a little glimpse of the diversity of thought process, the diversity of ways of accomplishing basically the same thing, but we all come at it from a different direction. So it's two hearts, two brains, whatever it is. But we all are trying to absorb all those people around us and bring them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that this conversation has brought me to a place where I never thought it would go, because I don't make any plans when I do these things. And I knew with you, I wasn't going to be able to do that anyway. I thought that we would be talking about this, and we didn't. And that's just fine, because you know what? That's the human experience.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm in Connecticut. You're in Washington State. We're going cross country. We're going cross cultural. We're going cross ideas. But we're using the same medium, LinkedIn,
yeah,
and the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so how much fun is this? It's great. And I
Just
don't know if
you?
anybody else agrees. I haven't seen any comments come across the screen or anything, but fine. If no one's watching, fine. I've learned from you. You've learned from me. We're all enriched.
We have one giant comment I was slowly waiting to
Oh
drop
my
because it
God.
was going to
Okay.
block. So we need more successful entrepreneurs that can inspire the many who feel trapped by the present systems. These systems are not geared to help all reach success and give opportunity. Not enough such mentors. Living with technology is great, but also has downside effects. Addiction to social media, for example. People have more fear of people. People have more fear of people. Feel better not to bother people, just to check on them in their own neighborhood. I see more things that keep us apart than bring us together.
Okay. I want to opine on that if I
I
may.
I would too. I disagree. I
I
feel very
disagree too. So
connected.
now we agree. Okay. This is good.
Absolutely.
All right. You can abuse anything. You can abuse food, as basic as food is. You can abuse anything. And there are people who will live to abuse to make you miserable. I don't focus on those people. I don't even invest energy in those people. I wrote a blog post a couple of weeks ago about somebody who gaslighted me. I was plenty angry because my time is valuable, if not to them, to me. And that's just the common decency we have to share with each other. So I won't tolerate anything that is abusive. And so if you're going to abuse your neighbors, I think the last sentence of that comment said, or you're going to abuse whatever it is, privacy, or abuse the use of social media to stalk people, or men hit on women on LinkedIn. I hear these stories all the time. Then stop focusing on the negative of LinkedIn and focus on the successes in LinkedIn. And every couple of months, colleagues of mine in Toronto, Canada, and I do a podcast. We're doing one in February on LinkedIn successes. Let's talk about the good stuff and stop damning LinkedIn for its inabilities, its inefficiencies. And it does plenty of things that I don't like, but I still use it because it's the best game in town. And I'll go one more step beyond
I
that.
agree with that.
I'll go one more step beyond that, and that is Twitter is probably not here forever. And I absolutely believe that whatever Twitter eventually dissolves into, LinkedIn will pick up where it left off, because it is the only social medium where you can rely upon facts and real people behind what they're doing. The press, researchers are not going to go to Facebook. They're going to go to LinkedIn. If you ever see on your evening news, so-and-so got arrested for drunk driving, and they put
Right.
his LinkedIn profile up there. Well, damn, it's so easy to go to LinkedIn and find everything you want to know about somebody. That's what they will be using if they're not using it already. So I just finished doing an hour and a half. It was cut down to 25 minutes podcast with some colleagues. Where is LinkedIn going to pick up where Twitter left off? Because we're thinking, again, technology, the proper use of technology for the benefit of the most. Now, that's my opinion. So I say stop being negative about social media and start using it as a tool that it's designed to be, and use it in ways most people have never even thought about to make it work for you, however you define it.
Definitely. I really like what you said there, Mark, just in the fact that life is going to evolve, and sometimes you have to choose where your feet are going to be planted. You can't just be floating around all the time. And that's really what you've done, is you've found a foundation in a platform that doesn't actually fluctuate as much as all the others, which is why I like it. It's slow, steady growth. It's not Facebook, which does this, and all the others do that. And so I would love to honestly put a note in the calendar and have this conversation a year from now,
Yeah.
because in my humble opinion and just my own research and wild ass opinions, I think we're 4 years out from the biggest shift we've seen. And I think social media and all of that's going to play probably the biggest part than we've ever seen before, just because of the way I see the culture change. So
Yeah,
if
look
I'm
what
going
it's
to
done
be
to
somewhere
political
that's steady,
campaigns.
I would rather be with LinkedIn, that to me is more steady than something that's up and down. And,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm already bipolar enough. I don't need help on the outside.
Look at what social media has done to political campaigns. Look at what it's done to buying habits. Look at what it's
Oh,
done
yeah.
to opinion processing. Look at what it's done to the ability to share information in a heartbeat, in a second,
Mm.
all over the world.
Well,
You
Mark,
know,
there's more people like me in that work for these companies that are just doing shenanigans. Like they look at it and they go, "How do I make this thing do what I need it to do?" And what they're doing is using the phone, because they know that when they do this or they add this alert and they do this, they can get people stuck on there. But that's not a real relationship. That's like the cheap, easy thing. And it's like what you're saying about, from the beginning of LinkedIn. It's like that to you is more honest and real, and there's a lot less of those shenanigans on there.
yeah,
Now,
we're
are
just
there
about,
people like that on LinkedIn? Yes. Are
yeah.
there people like me that are doing that but safe? Yes. You have to use your own judgment and watch your own character and self, but for me, I try to not be judgmental when I see the people using the techniques at me. Even the sales, da da da, I go, yeah, they're just trying to do the easy thing. And sometimes you don't know what is a better option. I don't even think, in my opinion, there's a right or wrong. I think that there's a good and better, and some things are unhealthy for some people. But I think a lot of people will find that their needs are evolving or changing, and then they would find a home with someone like you on there. And if they tried to dabble with someone like me, it wouldn't feel right,
Well, they're
because
also going to get a steady smack in the face from me if they try to connect with me and don't tell me why they want to connect. All right.
mm,
That's like somebody ringing your doorbell. It's like, I want to come in your house. Well, why? Don't tell me, knock, knock, I'm coming in. That's not what I'm here for.
yeah.
Tell me, knock, knock, I'm here to solve the problem that I understand you have. Knock, knock, I'm here to show you something you may never have seen before. Not like, hi, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Some person in Ghana who just happens to cut hair and went to Harvard and is a female with a very low slung blouse. Okay, you're not a real person. You're not coming in. It's a privilege to connect with me and me to be connected to you. So I vet you. And if you don't tell
Mm.
me from the beginning why I should want to get to know you, you have broken the equation.
I love how our opinions are completely different on
I
everything.
figured you were.
And I did LinkedIn for about 12 years, like exactly what you're saying, by the book. And I'm not sure what made me shift. I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, a
Sure.
couple of his books, and kind of like, oh, maybe I'll have more fun with this, and that's kind of maybe where I started just dabbling, but it just so if you read my portfolio on there or bio, it says I connect with everybody. It says I don't care who you are. I don't care if you don't have a picture. All of that. I don't care. You can reach out and connect with me. If your title says Joe Crack Dealer, I'll go. Yeah, I'll connect with you until that person misbehaves and does
Okay.
something that I don't like. Um,
Well,
because
here's
to
where the
me,
rubber meets the road, if I can interrupt you, and that is,
one more thing though,
okay, sorry.
and here's why. Because right beyond Joe the crackhead guy is a million other humans I can't get to, because that's how LinkedIn's designed. And I now know that I can be safe enough and calm enough to love Joe the crackhead guy and then move on. So if I don't like him, I don't need to be angry or resentful or go, no, you're doing this wrong. I can just go, not for me, thank you, and I can just remove him.
Okay.
So I'm a shotgun blast, sniper effect kind of person, and you are more hands-on, white glove approach. Let's think about who you are and what you want to put out there, and let's spend time on that, and let's give the people who you are so that you get the response from the people you were really looking for. You
Yeah.
can't. And so I've done that, and I that's so important to do. And that's how you find out where your true audiences are. And with LinkedIn is the one place you only need 20 clients to be a successful person in your career, where other businesses you have to keep getting new clients all the time. And I've seen a lot of people on LinkedIn do real well by staying in their lane. And maybe they have some business I don't understand, a tea business like my younger brother or someone else, but they find the small success there. Because if you're selling organic tea that's hand selected from China, a million people don't know what that is or how to buy it. There's only 100 people maybe in Colorado or my area that would, or Seattle, that would even know how to even order that. And so by you, Mark, encouraging your clients to be themselves, deliver who they truly are, you're inviting them to invite the world in to their inner world and be honest and see what they get out of that. And most people won't do that. They're too afraid.
Yes, fear
They
factor is huge.
they repeat. They just repeat what they see. They just read a book and just do what someone else did. And you, Mark, are saying, no, please stop that. Take 10 minutes and think about who you are and
Yeah,
now display that.
and take 10 minutes and read my profile, because you see at the bottom of my about section, if you read that far, if you cared enough to read that far, you'll see that I don't connect to everybody I don't know. I've given you the ground rules ahead of time. If you try to connect with me and I don't know you and you don't tell me why I should know you, I refer them back to my about section. How come you didn't read that far? All right, so there's many, many ways of coming to this end game of meeting all the great people in the world that you can rely upon. You have your way, I have mine. I'm not judging. I'm saying this is what's worked for me, and this is what I teach others based upon what's worked for me. If you want to meet somebody, we had this situation, a colleague of mine, and I'll speak to him in just a little while. He has 18,000 connections. He doesn't know
Wow.
but maybe 1,500 of them. And he was looking for some person in particular he wanted to meet. And I said to him, okay, let's have an experiment. You go out and try to find that person, and I'll go out and try to find that person and see how we can get to that person most efficiently. Best connection into that person. And he got no response from his 18,000 connections. Why? They didn't have any skin in the game with him.
Right.
They didn't care about him. I got the response because people knew that I meant business, and it was valuable for them to help me as much as it was valuable for me to ask them. That's the deal. Does that happen every time? Absolutely not. But it just is just another way of looking at it. We have different purposes for our different businesses with different personalities and different perspectives. That's terrific. I saw Perry was on a minute ago. Hello, Perry.
Yeah, man, we are at an hour. It's 58 minutes already. This has just flown. I usually try to keep these a little shorter, but what I really love, Mark, and if I've annoyed you, please forgive me. I love to push buttons. I love to shake the tree. I poke the bear. I love to I'm not being, just antagonizing either. I truly believe the things I believe because I've done them and I do them, and I live that way. I live, when I said misfit, I should have said I'm a misfit, and maybe you are, an outside the box thinker. But you can listen to my story and definitely go, yeah, you're probably a little misfit. You probably do get into some shenanigans that I wouldn't agree with, but always I learn from the people that are opposite of me. So first of all, I would say Gela Kasla, and that means thank you. I'm blessed in my language. So thank you, Mark, for being my guest today. Thank you for allowing me to lovingly argue and banter with you.
Right. There you go.
I have enjoyed this. Very few times do I get to battle it out with another LinkedIn coach because I'm so different and I've done things completely opposite. So I appreciate you. And if you would like to come back and do this again, maybe we sit down and find a few more things that we do differently together and learn from each other. I think for me, what I'm walking away, I'm saying maybe I need to put a little more of myself out there in the writing. I definitely do that in the video stuff. So
Yeah, pick your
I'm
medium.
working at writing
Yeah,
with Terrence. If you know Dr. Terrence, he's in the Octopus movement.
yeah, I've met him. Yes.
Yeah, we've been hanging out and writing together to encourage each other to be creative, and so that again, that's another LinkedIn thing, right? These people, beautiful humans that I call, really close friends, people that I do love as humans, like family, like Perry is a true brother
Absolutely.
of mine,
Yeah, the
and
Yokas of the world.
God, Yoka, yeah. Have you
Amazing.
hugged her in real life?
I have never met her in real life, although she's threatening to come to New York in March. And Yoko, if you're
Man,
listening, you better come because
it
I
was
want to meet
beautiful.
you.
I
I,
got to meet Yoka with my daughter. It was amazing. Shoot, we
yeah,
are at an hour mark. If you'd like to come back, you let me know, and I
I
would love
would.
to do
You let
that.
me know
That'd
when
be
you want me
great.
back. We'll keep going because you know what?
All right.
This has been a debate, not an argument, and that's the best
Yeah.
part of it.
I love it. I love it, man. Hey, thank you so much. Hang out in the green room for 2 seconds for me. Hey, thank you everybody for being part of the show today. This has just been for me just fun. I really enjoy the challenge and being challenged. And so, if you're different than me and you want to speak your voice of why you're an octopus, or shoot, why you're on LinkedIn or why you're not on LinkedIn, I'd love to hear your opinion. I'd love to know you. And like I said, I'm open to all connections. I don't discriminate or even know who's coming in my door on LinkedIn. So I'm wondering if any wild cards will show up today. And if you do, I appreciate that. And I hope you behave yourself. And everyone have a wonderful Friday. Take care this weekend of yourself and enjoy the Matrix.